Episode 276, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jay McInnes. This is the Sharp Real Estate Group's Sharp Stories saga, we'll call it. Today we've got the beloved monthly market update for February 2024, which of course highlights the January numbers. And you may have all seen just what's been happening out there, getting little quiet whispers of what the market's doing. Some key monthly headlines I've pulled about January. Homebuyer frenzy growing even before bank rates go down. We've heard that story. We'll dive into that a little bit. Greater Vancouver Real Estate Market off to a strong start in 2024, of course. And then record low builder sentiment foreshadows troubling housing starts, underscoring the need for housing policy changes. And why that is important, because the rates are still high, and though buyers may be jumping in today to try and get ahead of the assumably softening rate environment later this year, builders are not. So the issue with all of this their housing crisis that they're calling it, which we're apparently in, is a big focus on that is the lack of inventory. And with the current rate environment we've been in for the last 2 years, it started almost 2 years ago, March 2022, no one's building because builders work on floating rate loans, construction loans. And what you may think, developers aren't just building with cash, they borrow as well. And when it's uncomplimentary borrowing environment like it is today, as you guys feel on the buying side, they also feel on the development side. So they don't build. And if they do, they don't typically build to sell now. They may use this time and use actual cash to maybe build up their own portfolios of rental and so on and so forth. But what we've definitely seen is that developers have pulled back. Not mainly the big ones, but the little ones that are going to do all of this new density that the government's trying to push down our throats. All the mom and pop builders doing duplexes that can now do these fourplexes and sixplexes on these single family lots and all that, which again is all great in theory, but if no one's taking the money to build, nothing gets done still, and it's just lip service. But we're going to get into the numbers of January and what that actually looked like. Again, I'm going to be diverted to the screen here because I can't remember all these numbers. But for Greater Vancouver, let's dive right into it. Sales, residential sales in the region total 1,400. That doesn't mean much to you probably, but year over year, that's a 38.5% increase. So 1 year ago, January, we were just under a year into this rate increase environment, and things were a lot more dire, doom and gloom, if you will. But now we're definitely still in that environment, but slowly assumptions, I think, are going to come to fruition that this year we do have a softening of that. How quickly, nobody knows. But in the last year, Greater Vancouver-wide, we've got a 38.5% increase in sales. So let's hammer that down a little. Metro Vancouver listing numbers, there's 3,788 new listings in January. That's a 14.5% increase over a year ago. So the biggest issues that we've got obviously is affordability, people waiting and not buying because Cape Breton, Nova Scotia is calling me out. That has to be real. People have been dealing with the rate environment, of course, which has really made them sit on the sidelines. But in conjunction with that, a lot of sellers also have gone to market. Obviously under what most will do when the market changes, they'll continue to try and get the last market's numbers. They won't get it, and if they don't have to sell, they won't, and then they'll pull their inventory. So we saw a lot of that like a year ago. In that climbing rate environment, people were trying to get their prices. They weren't, inventory coming off, and it's really just stayed off. So the lack of inventory has been a huge issue that we've seen as the secondary to obviously just simply the money's too expensive to borrow right now. So yeah, so what we're seeing here, listings come up 14.5% year over year is great. That's what we need to see. The market needs to see some variety and some resilience in the selling side and the inventory numbers to then come off the sidelines with that anticipation that rates will drop and have some options to look at. So total number of properties currently listed, Metro Vancouver, probably doesn't make much sense. 8,633, is that a lot, is that a little? That's just under 10% increase again year over year. So we're getting more slowly but surely. And I think as the months roll on here, with that hopeful anticipation of things softening at the end of the year, we're going to continue to get more listings come to market. People are going to come back, test the market. We'll see what all those price points look like and how quickly they're absorbed, which we'll get into in a second. But I think that is, I hope this is the start of that trend. And then for those who want to know the 10-year, we are at 0.3% below the 10-year seasonal average for total listings. So, sales, Metro Vancouver, detached homes, 379 sales. What does that mean? Year over year, that's a 28% increase in detached home sales, Metro Vancouver. So that top end of the market is dramatically stronger as of last month, year over year. Benchmark pricing for detached Metro Vancouver wide is 1.942 million, and that is a 7.3% increase. So again, it always, the chain of command of should I buy is always number one, can I afford to buy something within the range? And if that's buying your principal residence, if that's buying your next principal residence, if that's buying an investment property, and assuming potential negative cash flow, which most do. The first is affordability factor. The second is getting into obviously something that makes the most sense. You're not gonna have every bell and whistle there unless you're at high end price points, usually speaking, but buying what you want. And the third is to get in as quickly as you can, caveat, when you can afford it and you see something you like. And this just goes to show again, the benchmark price for detached climbing in the year we've just seen with not a lot of inventory come to market, not a lot of transactions taking place in 2023. The benchmark is still up 7.3%. So it's always very hard to justify waiting when those other caveats are met, affordability, what you're looking for is actually currently sitting on the market, when most people cannot save faster than the market is going to increase. Specifically, if you're looking at bigger ticket items like detached homes over townhomes or townhomes over condos as we go down the list. So that's actually a negative 7.3% increase over the year for the detached benchmark. Month over month, that's actually a negative. So there you go. Minus 1.1%, at 1.1% decrease month over month. So again, this is benchmark speaking. What actually you niche your way into in a specific address is another thing, but generally speaking, the year, it didn't help to wait if you were in the detached market. Metro Vancouver. Condo sales, year over year, we've got 746 in January. That's a 30.6% increase year over year. For condo sales, Metro Vancouver. A huge jump. Benchmark is at 751,000, which is a 4.4% increase year over year. So again, that January is a very sharp spike up. The year over year benchmark pricing is still higher, in this case just under 5%. Month over month, 0.1% increase in the benchmark for condos. So again, everything elevating up. Attached market, those are backwards. So the attached is going to be townhome market mainly. 285 sales. What does that mean? Year over year, that's an 82% increase. Everyone, for some reason, loves this middle market, this condo, townhouse, then detached. Anyway, so again, in past markets, this has been a very hot market. Looking at the numbers here and the stats, we've even seen price points. Actually, I'm not going to get into that yet. But anyway, year over year for townhomes, 82% increase in sales. So a huge influx there. Benchmark for a townhome, 1,066,000, which year over year is a 4.3% increase. 10-year average, you are actually down 0.6%. So huge ramp up in that segment of the market as well. What are we? So that's again, detached year over year, 28% increase in sales. Townhome, 82.7%, and condo, 30.6%. Ratio now. What does that mean? Buyers market, sellers market, yada, yada, yada. We all know the ratios, 0 to 12, buyers 12 to 20, balanced above 20% ratio is the seller's market. So the total market Metro Vancouver is balanced at 17.2. So that's detached, condo, and townhouse. Collective, I know that gets a little bit difficult to swallow in the sense of what does that actually mean for me on the ground. Detached market, 11.9%, so it's actually a buyer's market just in January. Seller's market for the townhomes, as we saw with that 82.7%. That's a 22.9% ratio, so that's a seller's market ratio and attached. And for condos, it's a 9.9% ratio, which is a buyer's market. So benchmark price for all properties Metro Vancouver now is $1,161,300. So total benchmark year over year is up 4.2 in the whole, and month over month is up 0.6. That, none of those numbers just before I mentioned Metro Vancouver sales were 10-year averages. They were all year over year and then month over month. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, it's not important anyway. So again, I wanted to hammer down a little bit further into the west side. January 24 benchmark pricing, single family detached, 3.3 million. Townhome, 1.44 million. Condo, 830,000. And the residential benchmark for the west side specifically is 1.285 million. So as you can see, benchmarks are up. Activity is up dramatically over the month. We'll see how this plays out. I believe as more inventory comes, more buyers will come, and this will continue. We will see. I have surprisingly been wrong once before, as we've been highlighted too. And maybe this is number 2, who knows? So I just want to hammer down again a little bit further. West side, what do we have here? For detached housing, again, buyer's market at 9% ratio, specifically on the west side. That means 9 out of 100 homes selling. So that's where that 9% sits. Homes are selling an average 5% below list price on the west side for detached. Most active price band is at 2.5 to 2.75 price range, which is sitting at a 45%, a very strong seller's market, 45% ratio, which again, for the west side, is essentially entry level, arguably tear down or very, very, very entry level detached houses, depending where you're sitting. Buyer's best bet, homes between 5.5 and 6 in Shaughnessy. For detached, those are the best options you've got right now that are in stronger buyer's market territory. And then seller's best bet, if you own a house in Arbutus or a house with 7 bedrooms or more, you will have the best absorption for detached houses on the west side. Downtown condos, balanced market at 13%. Homes are selling on average 2% below. So still, both of those a little under. Expectations are a little bit higher. Why are they higher? Most people traditionally list with a little bit of buffer, assuming the market's going to want to negotiate. So I'm going to chalk that 2 to 5% on those last two up to that. Most active price band, 400 to 500, of course. Entry level as usual, and that's at a 58% sales ratio. So again, extremely strong entry level. Those are going to be studios, and you may get into an entry level 1 bed on that, 500,000, but studios for the most part, I would suggest, or older dated buildings, up to 1 bed. Buyer's best bet, homes between $1 million and $1.25 million in Cole Harbour, and over 3 bedrooms. That's where you're gonna get the most leverage. Seller's best bet, if you own downtown up to a 1 bedroom, which makes more sense why the most active band is 400 to 500. That's where you're gonna get the most leverage as a seller in downtown today with your condo. And then west side condos specifically, out here, balanced market at 17%. Homes selling on average of, again, 4% below list. So everything within 5% of active list prices. Most active price band, 2.25 to 2.5 million, which is at a 41%. Again, a very strong seller's market. Buyer's best bet, homes between 1.25 and 1.5 million in Dunbar, Oak Ridge, Southwest Marine, and South Granville, and homes over 4 bed, so condos over 4 bedroom, very hard to find, of course. And seller's best bet, if you own a condo in Kerrisdale, Kitts, or a 2-bedroom condo, you are sitting in the highest percentile That's the market update. Al time. Okay, well then I've got 2 seconds to jump into one government opinion. I had to do it. Government article of the week. Renovation permits cost twice as much in Vancouver as in North Vancouver, where a chief building officer in North Vancouver says staff pride themselves with taking the lightest touch possible to get the maximum amount of regulatory compliance. So in North Van, it sounds like they care, and in Vancouver, you know they don't. Let's look at the actual numbers here. Average permitting cost for a $20,000 bathroom reno. That's an average going price for a bathroom reno these days, Al. Can you believe it? Permits in Vancouver, no, let's start at the bottom. North Vancouver, $479. Abbotsford, $604. Richmond, $777. Coquitlam, $968 for that permit. $1,010 for that permit in Surrey. $1,020 in New West, and $1,179 for that same bathroom tick, little stamp, little piece of red tape for you, Vancouver bathroom renovators. And of course, they went to the big man himself, who we've had a few words about in the last couple weeks. When Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim, a businessman himself, and his ABC Vancouver party swept to power with a commanding 2022 election win, cutting red tape and making it easier to do business with the city were part of their platform mandates. So he came in saying, look, I'm a business, rather Trumpish actually of himself. Look at me, I'm a business guy. I know what the hell's going on here. I'm gonna cut the red tape and I'm gonna streamline all this because the last party had no idea what was going on and this is all just a big mess. So yes, he came in saying the right things. Reach for comment. Sim sent an email stating, we're dedicated to making Vancouver more efficient and business friendly by streamlining process and cutting bureaucracy, which was the exact same line they used to get in 2022. Skirting the question here of why are we paying double for the reno costs? Not the reno costs, the permitting costs. Sim pointed out 2 new changes, however, that came into effect this year. A simplified rainwater management process for new homes will reduce the wait from 56 weeks to 3. What the hell, a gutter system? I don't know what that is, but a 56 wait on a rainwater management process system for new homes is down to 3. So I guess that's a good thing. And then he also said there are certain types of sprinkler permits can now be issued within 24 hours. So they've cut times on certain things, but you're never gonna get a smaller taxation bill, cost bill, or anything like that out of them. They want to keep the money. They'll give you your time back. Time is money, I understand, in some circumstances. But in this case, why are these permits more expensive in Vancouver than elsewhere? He was asked. The city didn't answer the question, neither did Sim. So when it comes to actually pulling money back to the people and out of their web of bureaucracy, that's not going to happen, and we don't have answers for that. But here's some other little tidbits, some crumbs we have set up in the last 2 years. So we're not surprised. I just wanted to bring that highlight back to the table. We need to try and keep pressure on these guys for the ridiculousness that they're running on a daily basis, and that's this week's government ridiculousness. I will see you in 7 days.